Hi guys, welcome back to Otters RC Garage. Today we are actually outside of my backyard. I got a few things I wanted to go over, so let's get into the intro and we'll be right back. So, a few things. Right now, my life's a little bit busy and I can't always be doing RC things, so a little bit of a change in the channel is going to come. I want to make this about all my hobbies. It's going to make it easier for me to get videos out for you guys on a regular schedule, and also it's going to give I think the channel a little bit more of a variety. Here lately, especially since October or so, it's been nothing but racing, and I love the racing, and I'm going to keep doing that as we are, racing and everything. But here during the summer, we're doing a lot of other different things, so I want to make some of that into this channel, which brings us to, in the background here, our latest family project is this golf cart. It is a 1987 Columbia Par Car. So that's one of the few things. Another thing that we have gotten is my son picked up a Manco Intruder GFX. It's a go-kart. So sort of broadening into some small engine stuff. The golf cart is a 2-stroke. The go-kart is a 4-stroke. It's got a little Subaru engine on it. So we're going to start doing some more things. The go-kart, we've already fixed up some things on it, not a lot of stuff. So when I get around to a video on that, we'll go in depth of what we've already fixed and what we plan on fixing from there. The golf cart, we pretty much just got last Saturday and haven't done anything to it really yet. I started digging into it a little bit. We've made a list on what all it needs. So without further ado, let's get a little bit more in depth. So here's our 1987 Par Car. From what I know about these, and as you can see, this thing is a little bit rough. This is not the right body for it either. On the rear here, the front is. But as you see, it is how we got it and how we picked it up. It's definitely a project cart, but I think it looks a lot worse than what it really is. What I know about the Par Cars, the Par Cars were originally made not by Columbia, but actually by Harley. I believe a division of Harley Davidson, possibly not. I believe you can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. One cool thing is it is powered by a gasoline 2-stroke engine. More on that in here in a little bit. The rear part of the car, this red shell here came with it. It's a club car shell. It doesn't exactly fit. The original Par Car body went all the way down to here and had these hinges that it would actually hinge back on. This, you just have the seats that would normally fold forward, and you get into the underside for either the batteries or the engine. So gonna have to come up with some sort of a situation with that. What I think we're gonna end up doing is going with matching club car seats, front and rear. That way we can also do the roof over the top and just have it bolt down into the sides. But let's get the cover off and let's go more into that engine. Alright, now with this off, you can see a little bit better. Somebody has already gone and made some sort of framework that we're probably going to base off of. We'll probably end up going more into that later on. First steps for us is going to be getting the engine running good. That's the nice thing about this, for the price that we paid and everything. The engine does run, but he had an issue where it would only start in reverse, which I figured out. I'll go into here in a little bit. And also, he had just put new carburetor on it and whatnot. And he said also the brakes don't work, so we'll be going into that. So the neat thing about these carts are they do have forward and they do have reverse. But as people know, golf carts know, it does not have any cables or levers going down here to the differential to switch it. It doesn't have any actually direct drive right from the motor with that 44 series converter right to the differential. So what that means is, where's the reverse? So the reverse on these, you actually end up changing your polarity on your generator, which doubles as your starter, and it just spins the cart or the engine in whichever direction you want to go. So yeah, it's actually a reverse rotation 2-stroke engine. Pretty cool. It did have an oiling system, so you just have a different tank for the oil, which I believe that's actually what this is. They're using it as a fuel tank right now. But I'm pretty sure that's supposed to be their oil tank, which would then go down into this pump that runs on off of the front of the fan hub, and then pump your oil however much you need down into there, so you didn't have to worry about mixing your fuel system. You just fill it up with fuel and make sure that your oil tank's full of oil, and you'd be good to go. We're going to mix our own fuel. They say to do anywhere between 55 to 70 to 1 for these. They actually like it, I guess, pretty lean on oil, you would call it. Not 100% on two-stroke terminology and stuff. Like I said, this is pretty cool though. Gonna learn a lot doing this and getting her fixed up. First issues I've ran into so far is these cables. They aren't really mounted correctly. They did put a new carburetor on it, which I don't know if this is the original one. My guess, looking around, this is actually for an 86 and older. A lot of stuff works for up to 86, and then 87 and 88 it don't work, and then 89 and up to I think 92 stuff will work. So it's like 88 and 87 are just some bastardized years that do some goofy things. Another reason I can tell it's an 87 or 88 is actually this muffler too. That is a different thing that they did for 87 and 88 only. For the older and newer carts, the muffler would actually turn around and be sitting right here in front of the fan. And I think they went back to that just so that in like colder climates, you'd get that heat coming in and sort of help warm the engine up and get it running more efficient and quicker. Another issue that we did have, that we ran into, this is our fuel pump. It's a vacuum diaphragm fuel pump. There's a little knob down on the crankcase that a hose attaches to and goes up to this hose here on the center. It pulses from that piston going up and down, then ends up actuating the diaphragm inside of here and pumps the fuel in this side and out that side to the carburetor. So they had this just sort of hanging out, and as a consequence of it just hanging out, the line that was coming from the crankcase to this vacuum pump here had actually rubbed on the pulley here, and you can sort of tell, it might be able to tell that there's like a ring rubbed around it. It's a little bit cleaner. And that was from that hose rubbing, and it did rub through. So I'm gonna have to replace that hose. I'm gonna get a new fuel hose also. I've thought about getting a different fuel tank, but I'm not so sure. I think for now we're going to use this oil tank as the fuel tank, just like what they were doing. And if I need something bigger, for running around the golf course or around the campground, we'll look into a bigger fuel tank then. But for now, we also do need a battery here. Another part that was broke that I already fixed was this little switch down here. So the way this works is when you press on the gas pedal, this little plunger will come away from the switch, which will then send power to your generator to spin it in the correct direction. So one of the things I'm going to get busy on right now and tonight is trying to remount these cables so they're actually pulling straight on these linkages instead of at an angle, because right now realistically they're pulling at about a 45. This throttle cable should probably be tucked in here real close to the crankcase, and the choke cable should probably be over right next to it, maybe an inch away from it. So it looks like the brackets are here. I think that somebody just put the brackets on in the wrong spot. I don't think that was necessarily intentional, just didn't know. But we're gonna fix that. Another thing before we get it running, I got to get a carburetor adapter, or an air filter adapter, because I can't find any of the factory air filter housings at all. But we got to get a factory or a air filter adapter and then an air filter for this before we go running it and trying to tune this carburetor. These smaller engines, especially if you put a higher flowing air filter on or run it with no air filter, your tune is going to be completely different when you go and put an air filter on. So if you think you can just take the air filter off and run it, you'll notice it. All right, already looking better down in here. I took off the line that was running from that injection pump and plugged that off. I got the fuel pump mounted, as you can see, and I took this bracket and actually turned it around the other way and used a different hole, and that put the throttle cable tucked nice and back in there, and is actually now lined up nice and square with its linkage, and also took the choke cable here and has its now mounted nice so that it's working perfect. So really, the only thing I got left now that I need to do is this spring here is a little weak. You can see somebody over pulled on it in that spot and in that spot. So when you actuate the gas pedal, you actually let up on the cable, and that should take you to full throttle. And as you can see, there's not enough spring tension there once it starts to collapse to actually pull it. It only gets about a half throttle to it. So I'm gonna have to go to the parts store and get a new spring for that. Not a big deal, not a huge deal. Also, while I'm there, I'm going to get a new fuel filter to run from the fuel here, or from the fuel line here I'm going to put a fuel filter there, and then from there, a new rubber line to the intake, which I'm sorry is actually down here. And then from there, have it go out, and I think I'm going to run another filter just in case something happens to this pump. It'll catch it before it gets into the carburetor. So we'll have one filter filtering for the pre-pump, and then one filter post-pump. And that should just go up and over into this little nipple here. I'm also going to get a new line to go from this nipple back here. I don't know if you guys can see that, to go to the back side here for that vacuum action. But overall, good first day of work. Got that switch done and everything. Next time we'll get a battery in it, and maybe we'll mix up some two-stroke and get it fired up. So I hope you liked our first video on the golf cart. It is something new, different than RC cars, but in the same boat. It's still a fun hobby. It's got 4 wheels. It's got a little tiny engine and not a real big engine, so it's still something fun. We got a whole bunch of plans for it, including some white wall tires and moon dish wheels. We're thinking of painting it like a baby blue and having some white side skirts along the side. The other cool thing coming up, I'll give you guys a little taste of what's coming up, especially since you guys might have stuck around all the way to the end here. I want to appreciate that. Make sure guys leave a comment, tell me what you think about this, but we're going to do air ride on this golf cart. I already got the shocks lined up for the rear. The front end, I'm going to have to do my own customization, make some lower control arms, because right now the front suspension, the lower control arm is the leaf spring, and actually it doesn't even have shocks up front, so I'm going to have to make some mounts for that. So that's a little bit of fun that's going to be coming. Of course, with the air shocks, we're going to have, going up and down, and we're going to get a air horn hooked up to it as well. So a bunch of fun stuff coming up as far as plans for this. If you guys got any other ideas what we could do, or things that I'm getting wrong or might not have thought of, or easier ways to go about it, let me know. Of course, I'm going to rock this two-stroke that's in it probably for now until it does end up finally blowing up. There is rebuild kits out there, so that is an option to rebuild it, but I would really like to go 4-stroke, possibly even just go diesel. I think diesel would be a pretty cool, have a cool factor to it. Main thing with this golf cart, I want it to be completely different since it is a par car. It's not a club car. It's not a Yamaha or one of the normal run-of-the-mill things. I think it's sort of cool having that Harley history and sort of being something completely different that no one's ever seen. Especially making a little bit of a mutt with a club car rear end. So make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, and all those things, and we will see you guys in the next one.